NFL preseason week 1 is here, and on today's episode of For Verts, I'm going to take a look at the top 10 rookies I'm most looking forward to watching during the preseason. Yes, there was already one preseason game, but no one of note played in the Hall of Fame game between the Bears and the Texans. So over the next 3 weeks, we're going to get to see a lot of young talent play and a lot of rookies that I'm intrigued with watching. So we'll break down my top 10 rookies that I'm most excited to watch for this preseason. But before we do just that, we are almost at 1,300 subscribers here on 4Verts. We're at like 1,264 right now. Can we get 36 new subscribers here from today's show? If you love the NFL, if you love college football, and if you want content for free, both full videos and YouTube shorts, hit that subscribe button, join the journey. Myself, Harrison Graham, we got you covered here at 4Verts. All right, let's start with number 10, my top 10 rookies to watch during the NFL preseason. Brock Bowers, the tight end for the Las Vegas Raiders, of course, drafted out of Georgia. One of my favorite college football players to watch over the last 3 seasons. I remember watching him as a freshman, and he would just control games. And I was like, yep, that guy's pretty special. He's great after the catch. They would use him on like jet sweeps in college. I don't know if the Raiders are going to utilize him in all those aspects. I don't love the situation he's in. Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew a journeyman who can play a little bit. O'Connell, complete unknown, but he's got physical limitations. I wasn't that impressed with what we saw last year, but he's going to get an opportunity to prove himself. And Brock Bowers is a very QB-friendly player, so whoever wins that competition, Bowers should be an asset for said player. Luke Getsy coming over from Chicago as OC. Not a huge fan of his play calling either, but I like Bowers a lot, and they need a secondary weapon to go along with Devontae Adams, and I think he can provide that. They've got Jacoby Myers as well. Some talent on that offense. Can they get the quarterback play? I'm excited to watch Brock Bowers. At number 9, we go out west as well to the Bay Area. Ricky Pearsall, who's banged up right now, so I'm not quite sure if and when he's going to play in the preseason. I doubt we'll see him this week, but hopefully we see him either week 2 or week 3 of the preseason. But with the Brandon Aiyuk trade rumor circulating and the increasing likelihood that he gets dealt, I want to see what this kid can do because the Niners are going to need him because without Brandon Aiyuk, the wide receiver room looks like Deebo Samuel, who's a good player, but he's not a route runner. He's not someone who consistently separates. He's more of a yards after the catch guy. They have Juwan Jennings, a veteran, experienced guy. Obviously, Kittle at tight end, McCaffrey out of the backfield. They're going to catch passes, but they need another receiver to emerge, and they took Pearsall in the first round. Good route runner out of Florida, good speed as well. Can he produce, not Aiyuk numbers as a rookie, but can he give you half of what Aiyuk gave last year? Can he give you 700 yards? I think if you're the Niners and if you're a Niners fan, you're eager to see this kid knowing that Brandon Aiyuk may not be in the picture moving forward. All right, Bo Nix at number 8. You know, situation's everything at quarterback, or I shouldn't say everything. It's a lot, though, especially when you're not a top talent, which I don't think Bo Nix is. I think he's got some talent. He can do some good things. I didn't love him coming out of Oregon. I thought he played in a gimmicky offense. I think his arm's kind of average. Good, not great size. Footwork is messy, but he's pretty accurate, and he's entering a situation with Sean Payton, so I think that increases his chances of being successful. Payton likes what he's seen so far. He's competing with Jarrett Stidham and Zach Wilson. Can he earn the job in the preseason? I think if you're a Broncos fan, you're hoping so, right? Like, do you want to watch Jarrett Stidham? I don't. Do you really want to watch Zach Wilson? Not particularly. Bo Nix, the guy we just took in the first round, if you're a Broncos fan, yeah, I want to see what he can do, and I also want to see what he can do because Sean Payton clearly liked him enough to convince their GM George Payton to pull the trigger on this. So we'll see how it works out. Again, I didn't love the player coming out, but I think fit really can determine a lot. And he enters a situation with a head coach that is a very, very good offensive mind. Now, Michael Penix at number 7 on my list, he entered a bit of a different situation, whereas Bo Nix didn't love him coming out, but he's with Sean Payton. Michael Penix, I like Zach Robinson, their new OC down there, but they signed Kirk Cousins to major money, and it was a shock when they drafted him on draft night. But I'm intrigued with the talent, and I'm fascinated to see how he plays in the preseason. Obviously, if Kirk Cousins is healthy and is playing well, he's going to be the backup, at least for this year. Now, I think if things go a little sideways, they could pivot off of Kirk next year and go to Penix. It wouldn't shock me, but I do just wonder, like, could things get weird in Atlanta to the point, like, I don't know, what if they're not off to a good start? Like, people are picking the Falcons to win the division. They added Darnell Mooney. People think Kyle Pitts is going to break out with Kirk, and those things very well could happen. Year 2 of Bijan Robinson, pretty talented defense. But what if they're like 2-4, 2-5? Kirk doesn't look the same post-Achilles, and Penix had lit it up in the preseason. Like, could there be some internal pressure to go to the rookie, who, by the way, is 24 years old? It's not like he's a project. I would be surprised if that happened this year, but listen, I think you got to be open-minded if you're the Falcons, considering you just drafted this guy in the top 10. Let's see if Penix can apply some pressure with the strong preseason here. All right, Xavier Worthy, the speedster out of Texas, who the Chiefs traded up for late in the first round. I've got him at number 6. His speed has been on display during training camp, and that's been an emphasis for Kansas City this offseason. They want to bring speed and downfield vertical passing back into the offense that they simply have not had without Tyreek Hill. They lost Tyreek Hill, and also teams started playing too deep consistently, taking away over-the-top plays. Now, when you have guys like Xavier Worthy and Marquise Brown, you can bring that back into your offense because they're so explosive that even if they're going to play quarter-style defense, you can still find some openings there. And Worthy, you've seen some highlight reel plays in training camp. Obviously, there's going to be some limitations with him as a player. He's 165 pounds. You know, some physical corners are going to press him at times and give him some issues. But I think you'll see a highlight or two in the preseason where you're like, yeah, that reminds me of Tyreek Hill. Now, again, he's not Tyreek Hill. He's not as thick of him as he is as a player, not as physical, but he has electric speed. I think he's more like Deshaun Jackson, who Andy Reid had in Philadelphia, a guy who's just going to change games every once in a while on vertical passes. So I'm fired up to watch him. And Andy Reid's old school. He plays Mahomes some in the preseason, including this week. So maybe we get a highlight reel or two this weekend. Okay, let's go into the top 5 now. Drake Maye, who there's been some mixed reports out of him or out of Patriots camp about how he looks. Some days he looks good, others he doesn't. Welcome to life as a rookie quarterback, right? And obviously the Patriots are kind of in a transition period. Bill Belichick out. Gerard Mayo takes the job. First-time head coach, first-time play caller with Alex Van Pelt, who's been an OC but hasn't been the full-time play caller. He comes over from Cleveland. They have Jacoby Brissett. I don't think any of us expect Maye to start in week 1, but he was my second-rated QB coming out of college in this draft behind Caleb Williams. I like Maye a lot. He's 6'4", 230 pounds, really strong arm, can make all the throws. Has some accuracy issues at times, certainly has some raw traits that need to be well-refined, which is why ideally you would sit him at least half of this year. But maybe he lights it up in the preseason. I mean, there is some Justin Herbert in there, and maybe we see him sooner rather than later in the regular season. I'm eager to see if he looks like someone who's not ready to play at all, or if it's like, maybe this guy's ahead of schedule. Should be interesting to see. Jayden Daniels, who I think is more NFL ready with a smaller ceiling than Drake Maye. He's already QB1 in Washington. They listed him over Marcus Mariota on top of their depth chart. And I think one thing I'm fascinated to watch with Daniels, who's got talent, quick release, very good runner, but he's a little thin. Like, how much is he going to run in the NFL? I think you obviously have to run him. He could be a Lamar Jackson type of player, but he's under 200 pounds. Obviously, we'll see how much he runs in the preseason, but I'm just fascinated to see with Cliff Kingsbury what this offense looks like. What does Daniels do well? He throws a great vertical ball, good deep ball. Slot fades were a specialty of that LSU offense. He's mobile. He's not like a special out-of-pocket thrower, though. Like when he scrambles, usually he does it to take off. So we'll see. I'm curious about him. I had him as my 3rd quarterback after Williams and Maye, but admittedly, I think his floor is higher than Drake Maye. So let's see if he hits the ground running here. At number 3, Marvin Harrison Jr. Has looked good in camp. We've seen some highlight reel plays. He was my top receiver in the draft. 6'4", 210 pounds, whatever it was. He's got the full arsenal of route running. He can go vertical. He can run double moves, underneath, slants, curls, all that stuff. And I think the Cardinals are a sneaky team to watch with Kyler Murray being fully healthy. He came back late last season and played pretty well. Now he's got a guy who profiles to be a number one receiver in the NFL. That's my question. Can he step in right away and be that true number one? Because if he can, they've got some intriguing other pieces with Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch. They can run the football with James Conner. Kyler can make things happen. Trey McBride is an intriguing young tight end. So if Marvin Harrison Jr. can be a baller right away, which I think he's got the ability to, that the Cardinals become much more formidable in 2024 than people maybe thought. His counterpart, Malik Nabers, I've got at number 2. He just put on a clinic during joint practices against the Detroit Lions. Now, he may not play at all tonight because a lot of times when these teams do joint practices, they hold out key players for the games that week at least. So we may not see him till next week, but regardless, he is expected to play some in the preseason. And can he elevate Daniel Jones? Daniel Jones on a make-or-break year, if he can make enough plays for Jones, maybe they keep him around for another year. Otherwise, they're probably looking for a quarterback next year. He's impressive, man. He's explosive. He separates. He's good after the catch. He's edgy. He's getting in there with those scuffles with the Lions at training camp. So I think he's going to bring some juice to that offense and just to that locker room because he plays with an edge and a fire that you like out of a wide receiver as long as it's not overboard. And then at number 1, I think most people would agree with this, Caleb Williams. Matt Eberflus announced that he would play in the Bears preseason, technically not opener, but preseason week 1 game against the Bills on Saturday. I think he's going to play in the next 3 games. And all eyes are on this kid, the number 1 overall pick. The Bears are getting a lot of hype and traction right now. They're on Hard Knocks, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet. That whole group. Rome Odunze could easily have been on this list. Excited to watch him as well. It's been up and down out of camp for Caleb so far, according to reports, but he's going up against a top Bears defense. So I'm curious to see him play against another team. And the Bills are going to play their starters as well. So I think Saturday is going to be a good first test for him. See how he looks out of the gates. Probably get 2, maybe 3 drives of Caleb Williams here coming up on Saturday. So keep an eye on him. I'm eager to watch him. And obviously, Bears fans everywhere are hoping they finally have a franchise quarterback. All right, there you have it, my top 10 players to watch during the 2024 NFL preseason. We'll be covering it all here on Verts, so subscribe, turn on notifications, lock us in here on this channel. We're closing in on 1,300 subscribers, so hit that sub button. I'm Harrison Graham. We'll see you guys soon. Enjoy preseason week 1.